The most common explanation I hear from people who started a YouTube channel and stopped is some version of the algorithm didn't pick me up. The algorithm rewards some people, ignores others for no reason. The platform has changed. The timing wasn't right. But I want to offer a different diagnosis, so to say. Not because the algorithm is fair or simple, it really isn't, but because in almost every case I've looked at closely, the thing that killed the channel was not the algorithm. It was the 6 weeks before the algorithm had any meaningful data to work with. So I'm currently building 2 channels from scratch, and this is what I'm seeing from inside the early phase, and why I think impatience is a more accurate name for most people are actually experiencing. So basically, the algorithm has one job. It is not to reward good content. It is not to support creators. It is to keep people watching. And it does that by learning over time and across many signals which content is likely to satisfy which viewer. So when someone clicks on your video and watches 70% of it, that's a signal. But when someone clicks on your video and leaves in 30 seconds, that's a different signal. So when the same viewer comes back to your channel the next week, that's an even stronger signal. And when they don't, that is a signal too, yes. Now, a new channel has almost none of these signals. The algorithm doesn't know who your content is for, or whether that person will return. So it tests. It does these small pushes to small audiences, watching what happens. Of course, the feedback loop is slow at first, because there isn't enough data to make confident recommendations. And this is not the algorithm ignoring you, it's doing what it was designed to do, but perhaps with too little information to do it well yet. And of course, that information takes time to accumulate. And that time is often a lot longer than the time people are willing to wait. So, based on what I've read, observed, and am currently experiencing, new channels tend to move through 3 distinct phases. Knowing which one you're in changes how you interpret what's happening. Months 1 to 4, I would say, is the invisible phase. You get almost no external signals, your views are low or non-existent, the algorithm has minimal data, and growth feels absent because it largely is because the system is still learning. And this phase is the mandatory cost of admission into the YouTube world. Now, months 4 to 9, I would call the signal phase. The algorithm begins to have enough data to make some recommendations. Some videos might outperform others, some patterns may emerge. Now, growth is inconsistent, but getting to the positive, right? Now, this is where most creators who survived phase 1 start to see evidence that their channel has a future. And from month 9 forwards, I would call it the compounding phase. Your content library is large enough to cross-recommend each other. There are returning viewers. They give strong retention signals. The algorithm might promote you even more aggressively. And growth begins to overgrow the work being done because the earlier work you did is now compounding. Now, the problem is that most creators quit in phase 1. And it's not because their channel wasn't working, but because it looked like it wasn't working. Now, phase 1 has a specific texture. Your views are low, the feedback is minimal. There's no way to know if the content is good or bad. And you're making decisions in a place that has no signal. And that's when your impatience might take over. Now, impatience in a new channel doesn't usually look like quitting. It looks like adjusting. It looks like changing the format after 4 videos because the first 4 didn't pop. It looks like maybe chasing a trend because you see the algorithm rewarding someone chasing that trend. Maybe impatience looks like making your videos shorter or longer, maybe trying shorts, abandoning shorts. And each individual adjustment might feel strategic, but the pattern they create is just noise. You're changing too many things before you have enough data to know which ones matter. And the algorithm, which was just beginning to build a picture of your channel, gets a new picture every few weeks, so it needs to start learning over. Now, the channels that grow are almost always the ones that stayed consistent long enough for the algorithm to finish learning. The channels didn't have to be perfect, they didn't have to go viral, they were just consistent. They had the same topic, the same format, maybe the same posting schedule. Now, consistency isn't a growth hack, it's the minimum requirement for the algorithm to be able to help you at all. Now, saying just be patient is not useful, right? Because patience without having a structure is just hoping. What actually works is a system that generates output regardless of how the metrics look. Because as we talked about, in phase 1, those metrics, they're not reliable feedback. Now, the system I'm using has 3 parts. First, a fixed posting commitment that doesn't require motivation to maintain. 1 video per week, same day, same rough format. The decision is made once, and you don't have to revisit based on how last week's video performed. Now, second, a metric blackout period for the first 90 days. Yes. I have the goal of checking analytics once a week on a schedule, and I don't adjust my content creation strategy based on what I see. Because, yes, the sample size is too small to be meaningful. Treating it as meaningful is how impatience enters. And the third part is a process metric instead of an outcome metric. So the number I track is videos published, not views. Videos published is something I control. Views I don't control. So measuring what I control keeps the feedback loop healthy when the external signals are too quiet. Now, I want to be honest about where I am with this because I think it matters. This channel is in phase 1. The numbers are small. There are weeks where I publish something and the silence is so loud that mentally I'm redesigning the whole channel. But luckily I haven't acted on any of those thoughts. But because I know that changing strategy in phase 1 based on the data I don't have, is exactly what the research and the patterns say not to do. The system itself is holding. The feeling isn't always there, which is fine, but that's what the system is for. So, I will tell you in about 6 months whether it was the right call. Now, here is the one commitment, the one homework I want you to do if you're building something in phase 1 right now. Decide today, just once, on a minimum viable posting schedule you can actually maintain without motivation. This might not be your ideal future schedule, but this is the floor where you start from. The number you can hit even in a bad week, even on a week where the metrics are very discouraging. So write it down and treat it as something, a system you have set for 90 days. And don't change it up until you've hit that floor consistently for those 3 months, and then have enough data to evaluate anything meaningfully. So one commitment made once, and the system does the rest. Okay, well, I'm going to keep sharing what phase 1 actually looks like from the inside. The numbers, temptations, decisions. And because I think it's the honest version of this journey. And being honest is more useful than just having those dream numbers and looking back when someone has 1 million subscribers. Oh, yes, I did this and that. Okay, well, if you're in phase 1 too, yes, you are supposed to be feeling like this. Nothing is wrong. Okay, let me know in the comments how you are in your phase 1. What are the tough things, and can you keep to your schedule? Okay, see you in the next video. Bye.